StreamYard. So let me know if we're actually live, if you guys can hear us and see us okay. Super excited for today's episode. We're going to talk about hidden things within your business that might be costing you some profits. So I'm excited to have one of the founders of SellerBoard on here. It's Vladi, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, cool. So welcome in. We've done a video for SellerBoard in the past, and I'm not going to sit here and just repeat what I've done before. So Vladi, if you want to introduce yourself, who you are, what SellerBoard does. They've got some really cool stuff in the works, so I'm excited to see that roll out.
Sure. So, my name is Vladi Gordon. I live in Germany. It's 9 p.m. Here at the moment. I'm the co-founder and CEO of SellerBoard. SellerBoard.com is a profit analytics tool for Amazon sellers with a lot of other features and modules included, but we position ourselves as like the world's most accurate profit analytics tool. At least that's the vision. And we are live since 2.5 years. Like we started it back in 2016, and after half a year of development, I think something like this, we were able to show like the first version. And we started in Germany, and then expanded like to Europe and eventually to US and worldwide. And it's been a journey. My background is and by the way, one interesting thing about our software is our philosophy is we don't want to make the software expensive, because we want to help or target also new sellers who don't want to pay too much money for the software. So the pricing starts at $19 a month, which is kind of, at least for us, it was the benchmark. We don't want any competitors to sell cheaper than us.
Which is going to be hard for them to do. Like when you and I talked about partnering up, and we do some videos and stuff like that too. I remember waiting for the cost, because a lot of softwares do cost some of them hundreds of dollars a month, which as a new seller or even an intermediate seller, we tell people all the time on the channel, don't waste money on products and services that you don't need. Obviously, accounting and profit analytics is a huge thing you should know in your business. So the fact that somebody can come in, pay $19 a month and have all that data that they need is crucial.
Yeah, and basically our strategy is we want to, as I said, be the most accurate tool, but also just bring you the best quality and have a lot of customers, and then our business model works for us, but also for the customers, because they don't need to spend too much money on software.
Absolutely.
Right? And my background is actually I'm an IT guy for many years, but I also had some experience on Amazon FBA in Germany. I started in 2015, and actually I'm going to share some slides later on, and I'm going to show you my product, which I was selling. I'm not selling anymore. I sold my business and focusing only on the software now. But it was fun. I was selling for 2 years or so, and scaled up. It was private label. By the way, arbitrage models are not so popular in Europe. I don't know why. Maybe nobody has figured out yet that it's possible. So if you guys want to try, then let me know. Maybe we can record a video or something, or tutorial how to do this. Yeah, but anyway, it was fun, and now 2.5 years later, or I guess it's more like 4 years later. We're here with SellerBoard.
That's awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you taking time, especially it's 9 p.m. there. I had one person message me on Instagram because I posted about this show. They're like, "Wait, you're doing a show at 12 o'clock? Usually we do it at 5." And I explained he's in Germany, so we don't want him waking up at 3 in the morning to do this.
Okay.
So I appreciate you being on here.
Sure. Thanks for that, because I can do a show at 2 in the morning, but it's not going to be very
We don't know what kind of info you're going to be giving out then. So I see we got some familiar faces up in the chat. What's up, Justin? We got Adam, a couple of our VIPs up in here. Hello from South America. That's awesome. Justin's just stopping by at work. Don't get in trouble. So let's pretty much dive in. We're going to do open Q&A session for you guys too. So Vladi's got some great info he's going to give you guys on just stuff that a lot of people forget about or don't even think to look at that's eating up into your actual profits. Because it's easy to sell a product. If you say, oh yeah, I have a product, I'm making an 80% ROI, but are you factoring in certain other things that might be eating into that? And this is where Vladi specializes in. Obviously, he runs a profit analytics tool, so he gets to see hands-on what people are spending their money on. So Vladi, floor is all yours, my friend. If you guys have questions, it's open chat, so you guys can you can see the chat on your side, right?
I think so. Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
It says it's private though. I don't know if it's the chat or live comments. Okay. I think I can see them.
Oh, there we go. And I can also do this where I can pop them up onto the screen.
Nice.
So that's kind of a nice little feature. Thanks, StreamYard. Not an affiliate post. So yeah, if you guys have questions along the way, just pop them in the chat and we'll get them up on the screen and answer them for you.
Okay, let me try to share my screen now. Hold on a sec. And tell me if you can see it actually.
Okay. Yeah, it's only my second time using this program, and it will pop it up on the bottom of my screen, and then I hit show, and it should pop up there. There we go. Okay. All right. Can you guys see that? And I gotta love the YouTube has like a 10-second delay from the time we ask a question to the time they see it and answer. So it's always like, can you guys see it? Pause. Okay, good.
Okay, so let me start, and Chaz, let me know if there are any questions because I can't see the chat at the moment because I only have one screen here.
You got it.
Okay, so I call this slide deck the truth about your profit. It's sometimes a bit scary, and mostly the profit is smaller than you think, but it's just important to have a system in place where you basically know your numbers if not as exactly as possible, at least up to a certain level where they don't influence any business decisions anymore. So because you make decisions based on your profitability, right? And a lot of times customers ask us, why are the numbers so low? And then maybe you have a bug or so, and then we look into the numbers and explain. And it's important to basically understand the numbers and just be able to adjust the business model, because otherwise, you're losing money. Okay, but let me tell you a couple of words about myself. So SellerBoard.com is it's our website, and there's a free trial, and we're going to give you a special deal at the end of this video where you can basically get a longer trial, and I will explain you how. So we have 1 month free trial, and $19 a month is the price, and we're about profit analytics, and we have some other things like inventory management with restock alerts, where basically we tell you when it's time to reorder, and we have like a module which looks for lost and damaged inventory, which Amazon didn't reimburse you for, and helps you get the reimbursement. We're working on PPC management and auto bidding and bid suggestions at the moment. The autoresponder module is like an email follow-up sequence tool where you can ask customers to leave feedback or review automatically, and a lot of other stuff. Okay, but let me show you my first product, and this, you can see it's Amazon DE, and this screenshot is, I don't know if there's a date somewhere here. Sorry, it's in German, but I think you guys get the idea of what this is. And anyway, it was sometime back in 2015, and back then I learned about this Amazon FBA thing, and as I said, there weren't, and there are still not too many arbitrage sellers in Europe. At least I don't know any. So the only idea basically everybody had was private label. And back then there was this thing called Google Cardboard. Basically, it's a pair of virtual reality glasses where you can insert your phone. I think you guys can see my phone here. And there are two little lenses in this thing, and you can look at the screen of your phone and see 3D pictures. And if you can install different apps and games, and you can look around and even shoot with this little button. And And this thing is from Cardboard. So Google basically released the design for this cardboard virtual reality thing, and because they wanted everybody to try virtual reality. And I thought, okay, it's probably a cool private label product. And I bought like 10 pieces, and then I bought 100 and put them online on Amazon.de. And you can see I have only one review here, and I was already bestseller. It was like, it was awesome because I was the only FBA seller selling this product. All the other sellers were shipping directly from China, and the price was very high. So you can see it's 17.90 euro. It's probably about $20. I was buying them for 230, I believe. So the margin was nice, and I'll show you some screenshots. I'm not selling anymore, so I don't want to explain you how to sell. Probably you know better than me, but I think I don't know. It was a cool experience, right? And probably you know this feeling. And look, this is one day. It was like December 11th. This is the the day where I started to love Christmas in a totally different way. So I sold 213 units at like 18 euros per piece, and you can imagine it was like a margin of 12, 15 euros probably per unit. And this was only one SKU, and I was like, okay, I'm quitting my job, and I figured it out, and I'm gonna replicate this and have 5 products, and then I'm done. Basically, I'm a millionaire, or a billionaire rather, with these kind of numbers. But yeah, but then basically what happened then is I was like bringing new products, and hired a little virtual team, and scaled it up, I think, to like 18 different products. And what happened with this particular product was, the competition also found it, and suddenly there were like maybe 50 FBA sellers selling exactly the same product, and had hijackers and all kinds of stuff. And the prices were going down, and we had to split like all this revenue between 50 people. So my margins started to get very low, and suddenly I wasn't even sure if I'm making money anymore or no, because I was kind of calculating, okay, how should I ship the goods, and what's the maximum price that I need to pay when I'm like sourcing them. But I wasn't still sure whether I'm factoring in all the fees, right, and all like storage fees, and whether I'm doing refunds and returns correctly. Because basically what I was doing, I was looking at this number, and I knew approximately from my Excel tool what was the profit per unit. And I was just multiplying this number, a number of sold units, with the profit per unit every day. And well, this is when we came up with the idea to build a tool, and this is a screenshot of our tool SellerBoard. As you can see, this is a dashboard, and you have these kind of tiles here, today and yesterday and this month and like last month, and this is covered by this pop-up where you can basically hit more. It will show you all kinds of fees and expenses, and you can drill down into the Amazon fees or refund costs. Or here on the bottom, you see actually products that go into this period. So like for today, we sold 62 items, and on the bottom, well, we don't see a lot of them, but I think you get the idea. You see a table with all the products and all the KPIs per product, and you can even drill down into every single order, check the fees, and basically see whether you're making money or no. And like on this screenshot, we made like $117 of net profit today. Okay, so basically my first tip would be, like when I was selling, as I told you at the beginning, the margin was so high I didn't have to bother about profits. But after a certain amount of time, I figured out, okay, you need to track it somehow. You need to know like your true profit, factor in all the costs, and have your landing costs correctly, and like all the fees. And basically, like I learned that there are 3 reports that you need to run a business. Basically, it's not just an Amazon business. Basically, it's any business. But one thing is called profit and loss, and this one basically tells you if you're making money per unit on every sale after you factor in all possible fees and costs. And this doesn't mean that you actually have cash on the bank, right? It just means, okay, I sold the unit, and if I like distribute all my costs on and split them basically by the number of units and products that I have in my inventory, then for this particular unit, I was like able to make some money when I sold it. But this doesn't mean you have cash. And this is the second report. It's called cash flow, and this is what you see on your bank account. And it's very well possible that like you're out of cash and you don't have money or even don't have enough funds to source the next portion of products, but you're making profit because every single unit you're selling at a profit. It's also possible that you have a lot of cash in your bank account, but you're still making losses. It's like, for example, when you sell items cheaper than you source them, right? You're still getting cash flow, and depending on when you bought the items, it might very well be that your month is like cash flow positive. So it's important basically to track both. And the third one is the balance sheet, and for sellers, it's mostly about inventory. So you kind of need to understand how much money is tied in the inventory to be able to project like your future cash flow and to know whether you can like source and how many products you can source. So yeah, these are the three key things, and I'm sure, guys, you're doing all three in some way. And I would really recommend well, some sort of tooling like SellerBoard for at least for profit and loss, because these two you can kind of figure out on your own. But profit and loss, especially if you're doing FBA, is very complicated. And let me show you why. Actually, like we're getting a lot of questions from our customers, and kind of summarize typical problems in this presentation that our customers have, and I'll explain you how we solve them. Okay, let me skip this. Yeah, so first, the first, or rather like the second tip here is think about all costs. And this is what we see now and then, or actually pretty often, that people tend to forget some costs. And let me show you what I mean. So everybody knows what FBA fee is, right? You know, this is basically the fee you're paying to ship a product from the Amazon warehouse to the customer. And in the Seller Central, on this Manage Inventory page, it shows you a fee preview. Now, the thing is, it says here it's a fee preview, right? So normally this number is correct, but sometimes it's not. So it's an estimation, and we're getting asked a lot, like why are we showing different numbers in SellerBoard than in this view? And it's because sometimes it's an estimation which is not accurate. So if you want to check what you're actually paying, then go ahead and you know, if you have a SellerBoard account, we'll show you, of course. If no, you can open an order, just any order which was already shipped. And there you can click on the total sum, and it will show you all the fees that were charged, that Amazon charged you for this particular order. So this way, if you have a product and you open any order for this product, then you can check the actual FBA fee that you're paying. But the thing is, this FBA fees change over time sometimes. And I don't really have any control about that, but sometimes like an Amazon employee decides to put your product into a bigger box when they're shipping it, or you know, they decide to do a remeasurement, and they need to be very quick and efficient, and they just basically come up with a different size, which is sometimes smaller than what was there before, which is amazing because you'll end up paying less storage fees and less FBA fees. But sometimes yeah, they come up with bigger numbers, right? And all of a sudden you're paying more, you're paying a higher FBA fee for a product which is maybe running since a couple of months, where you basically know the FBA fee and where you use it for your sourcing decisions. So especially if you have a situation where you're selling the same product over a couple of months, go ahead and check what you're actually paying for the FBA fee, as I just explained. Because if if they change the fee, what you can do is you can request a remeasurement and get your money back. If you do it within 30 days, they will reimburse you if they charge too much. Even if they don't reimburse you, you'll at least start paying less again, starting from the moment where you filed this this ticket to the support. So we have a report in SellerBoard under reports. It's called FBA fee changes. You can also check this one out, and this is how it looks like. Basically, it shows you a product here, and we examine all the orders for every specific SKU, and if we detect a change in the amount of the FBA fee, then we show it here. And look, this is the product is anonymized, but the fee amount is correct. So it's these are real numbers. And see, it's like from 2015, a little bit older, but it doesn't matter. It happens today in the same fashion. So you see, it was like 197, and then it went up to 222, and then it went up to 230. And if you don't notice it, then you just end up paying more. So yeah, my tip would be check out an order in Sellers Central. If you don't have too many SKUs, or feel free to use our report. It will show you all the changes, and you can get some real money back here. Okay, then the next thing I wanted to talk about are this storage fees, and I'm pretty sure everybody has heard of storage fees, but sometimes sellers are not, or our customers at least, are not really aware how much they're paying for storage, because it's kind of hard to calculate, right? Amazon is charging the storage fees based on your average volume in the FBA warehouse, right? So they take any specific month, and then they calculate, okay, what was your average volume during this month? And you're selling goods off, so the volume decreases, but then you're shipping new goods to the FBA warehouse, and the volume is increasing again. So it's kind of hard to estimate how much will you end up paying for storage. And if you log into the Seller Central, there's no display or something, right? So the storage fee is not really shown on any dashboard or on the screen where you see your sales. So a lot of guys just tend not to check it too often. And we show it in SellerBoard and in this example, and these numbers are also correct. These are real numbers. You can see it was like 20% of net profit, so it's substantial. By the way, there's a wrong logo here. It should say SellerBoard, but it's an old screenshot. We used to, when we launched, we were called AMZ Control. All right, so don't forget about storage fees. And you can check them out in SellerBoard, or if you want, you can download a transaction report from the Seller Central and for any given month, and then just see what you're paying, if the order of magnitude is like the one that you assumed. And by the way, we also break the storage fee down to the product levels. On the dashboard, you can see it like on the account level, but also on the product level. You can click on any product in SellerBoard, and it will show you all the fees for this specific product, including the storage fees. And then there are like 70 plus different Amazon fees, and you can see like a lot of stuff associated with the inbound transportation, like convenience and defect fees. So if you're sending like broken items in, they might charge you for that, or things like lightning deal or coupons, or removal and disposal. Of course, if you need to remove some products and ship them back to your prep center or to your home, or dispose them, or labeling and stuff like this. And yeah, a lot of sellers tend to neglect those. And the message here is those are not like huge amounts normally, but there are like more than 70 types of those fees. And yeah, you just need to think about this and factor in some buffer when you're sourcing products or when you're buying, right? All right, now my favorite topic. These are the returns. And the thing is, I believe that returns are mostly underestimated profit killer in an FBA business. So I really believe that most of the sellers underestimate the effect of the returns on their bottom line. And let me explain why. So I'm going to show you an order, and we're going to calculate the profit based on this order. And then I'll show you what happens when a customer returns an item. Okay, so imagine somebody bought an item from us for $18.90, and let's say it's in September, right? Just as an example. And what we want to do now is we want to understand how much profit did we make on this order. So we need to subtract some fees, like the referral fees, the commission, like 15%, or depending on your category, it might be more or less. And then the FBA fee for shipping this product, and then we need to subtract our cost of goods, and you want to factor all kinds of stuff into the cost of goods, like, for example, your prep center and so on. And if you're in Europe, and we're based in Europe, so we have VAT here. You don't have VAT in the US, but it's something like the sales tax. I guess, yeah, it's similar, but a bit different. So just ignore this. But basically, it's a tax we need to pay. So we need to pay attention to it when we're calculating profit. And yeah, after this, we're left with €6, 68 or dollars of profit. And this is not all, as I said. I know there will be some other fees and storage fees, which we kind of need to break down by product. But just for the sake of this example, let's assume this is all. Okay, so it's a nice order, nice sale. We're making profit. Now, let's suppose it's now October, and end of September, you kind of close your books for September. You calculate your profit, and you make some decisions, and you're like, okay, it was a good month. We made $6.68 in profit. Maybe we can buy, I don't know, a hamburger or something. Although it's probably going to be just McDonald's kind of hamburger, at least in Germany, for this money. But yeah, I mean, we make some decisions. Maybe we decide to take some cash out eventually, or you want to source a new product. Anyway, you kind of assume you made profit. Now, what happens if the customer returns this item 2 weeks later, or 3 weeks later, 4 weeks later, and it's already next month? So what we can't do is, actually, we cannot go back in time and kind of cancel an order in the previous month. Actually, even if it's in the same month, we shouldn't go back and retrospectively change things in like in accounting, right? So what we need to do is we now need to book like a refund, which will then compensate for all the losses from this order. So this is the right way to calculate it, right? And by the way, if you look in the Seller Central, if an item is returned, like if you had one sale and it was returned immediately, the same day, let's say, yeah, well, same day is actually not so good. Same week, let's say, a week later, then you will still see a number 1 as the number of units sold. So Seller Central still says, okay, you sold 1 unit, and sellers tend to like look at this number as a KPI for their profit, right? So what we're doing is we see, okay, we sold 1 item. Probably our profit is like $6.68 per unit. So we made a profit, but actually we haven't, because the item might have been returned, or at least if it's not just 1 sale per, but rather like 100 sales, some of them might have been returned. Okay, so what happens when the customer clicks the return button? First of all, Amazon almost immediately reimburses the whole amount of the whole sum back to the customer. Sometimes it takes 1 day, but you guys probably know it because everybody has returned something to Amazon. And then they charge the seller, but they don't actually wait for the customer to send the money, to send the item back to the FBA warehouse. They immediately charge the seller because customer is king. Okay, additionally to that, they will also charge, I'm sorry, I think you can't see this because of this panel here. but they additionally charge a refund fee, and it's going to be a little bit like different depending on the category you're selling in, but basically you end up paying for every return, I should say. It's not just refund, it's return. In this case, we're returning an item. Then we've got the VAT. So we're trying to calculate the damage which is caused by a refund, right, or return here. VAT, let's forget about this. It's because just for Europe. Then we've got the referral fee, and here we have a plus amount, and this is because Amazon is actually fair, and if a customer returns an item, then they reimburse us the referral fee, the commission that we paid when we sold the item, which is a good thing. So this minimizes our losses. Then let's assume we have the cost of goods here, like $4. Let's assume that this item is sellable. So after it's received by the FBA warehouse, we can sell it again. So when we sold it, this was a minus position, cost of goods. So now it's a plus position, right? Because it's sellable. So we need to cancel out basically this expense that we previously made. And we're left with $9.61 loss. And normally, your first impression is probably, okay, that's too much, because it's like more than the profit that we made previously. But if you think a little bit about it a little bit more, it makes sense, because this profit, we don't want to change a transaction in the past. We want to cancel out this profit with a new transaction, and part of this loss is actually like the sum that the profit amount, right? So 668 out of this 961 is the cancellation of our profit. So as of today, the date when the item was returned, this is our loss. And another part that we're losing is the FBA fee, which we paid for the shipping to the customer, and this refund fee. And I guess that's it for now. But if we're not so lucky, and if the item actually arrives damaged, and depending on your strategy, like sometimes you want to send them back to your warehouse and fix them, but let's assume it's just a pretty cheap item, so you don't want to fix them. It doesn't make sense. You just basically dispose them. So if we assume that the item is broken, then our loss is even bigger. It's like 1361, and you see it's in this example, it's more than twice a little bigger than the profit we made. So it's a huge loss. So my message here is think about your returns, and try to execute this exercise on paper, and try to understand whether you're like factoring in your returns correctly or no. And by the way, like in SellerBoard, we do exactly this fully automatically, and we also evaluate if the return is sellable or no. And if it's sellable, you can see we have a position here. It's called refund cost, and we kind of show every single sub position here based on what was booked. And we also show the product cost with a positive number if the items that were returned are still sellable. If no, then we won't show this. And I'm not aware of any other tool actually which does this automatically, especially this product evaluation if a product is sellable or no. And also, these are real numbers. Like the products are faked here, but these are real numbers actually from my account back when I was selling, and you can see it's like 20% of profit as well. So don't neglect your returns. Okay, a couple of other tips how to minimize the return cost. Did you guys know that you can check the return reasons in Seller Central? And I wrote here how you can do it. You can download a report or view a report which will show you why the customers returned. And sometimes you cannot do anything about it because they say like, okay, I didn't like this product. But sometimes these are things which you can fix. For example, if you created the listing and if you uploaded the pictures, then they might tell you, okay, the color is different on your pictures. It looks like brighter or darker. depending on what this is, maybe like a t-shirt, that it looks different than the pictures. Or they say, okay, the item is too big, because when they looked at the picture, they thought it would be smaller. Like I once bought Bluetooth earbuds on AliExpress, which kind of looked like Apple AirPods, but they were only at $6 or so. And I thought, okay, I mean, $6, why not? I'm going to test them. And then they came, and they looked basically exactly like the Apple's AirPods. And then they arrived, and they were like huge. I don't know. You need just really huge ears, like an elephant, maybe, to fit those earpods. And so they went to trash immediately. Yeah, but anyway, check out those return reasons, or if you have SellerBoard, I will show you how to do it in our software. You can also use an autoresponder and ask customers why they returned. Like especially with this example, when they think of the size in a wrong way, you can put dimensions on the pictures, for example. Or sometimes it's a packaging issue, so you can fix the packaging. Here's this report in Seller Central, and sometimes you can even click on the reason. It will show you a comment. This one is in German. It says color is darker than expected, but it works just as well in the US. And here's how we show it in SellerBoard. Every day or every month that you analyze, we show all the KPIs, including number of refunds. And you can click on those refunds, and it will show you a pie chart, basically of all refunds by reason. And some of them you can like explode with this little triangle, and it will show you the reasons. And yes, if this will help you reduce your like return rate by 1%, maybe from 5% to 4%, this is going to have a disproportional effect on your profit. So for every like a percent of the return rate which you decrease, you're probably earning like 5% more net profit. Does it make sense? Chess, can you still hear me?
Yeah, you're good. Okay. The long-term storage, I could just touch on that because that's one of the ones that I learned a hard lesson on, especially when you're a new seller. You don't think about all these little hidden fees and all the other extra things. So a couple examples. One, I went pretty deep on a product where it sat for about 6 months before I was able to start selling through a good chunk of it. And I got hit out of nowhere. I saw $400 get deducted from my little account. On your seller's app, you can see what your balance is. I saw $400 go down. I'm thinking, what the hell just happened here? And sure enough, I went into my transaction view in Seller Central, which if you guys don't know, you can do that too. Go into your balance or in your recent payouts area and hit transactions, and it will show you exactly what Amazon is deducting out of your account. And it was long-term storage fees for that one SKU because I bought several hundred of them, and I got bit in the butt on that. So that was a hard lesson I had to learn. And then the second thing I want to bring up too is just last week, I have a product that I had sent in 400 of. Based on the sell-through rate, I don't need 400 sitting in there. We have a warehouse space. So I pulled 200 of them to store them here, see if I can sell some of them on eBay, and then also just wait until season comes in. I can send them back in, but it's 50 cents per unit to pull those. So now that goes back into my buy cost. And that's something like Vladi was talking about, where if you're not factoring these in, you might, let's just say I paid $1 a piece for the product I just pulled. Now my buy cost is going to go up when I send that back in. Yeah. And I'll have more shipping fees on top of that, sending it back in. So it's just little tiny things like that a lot of us miss or we don't think about. I love that you brought all that up, because I've seen firsthand what it can do if you don't pay attention to it.
Yeah, the thing is, like, sometimes sometimes we have customers who are actually losing money, although they think they're making money. This is, of course, very bitter, but on the other hand, it's better to know as early as possible, right? And sometimes it just maybe making a little bit less than you thought, but next time we'll just source better, or you either like get a better buying price, or you maybe if you're doing like arbitrage, maybe you just source a different product, which is more like attractive.
Mm-hmm. And that's why, like, for those of you doing arbitrage, our personal way that we do arbitrage is I like to buy my products when I know they have at least a 50% ROI. not because I think I'm going to make 50% ROI, but that gives me some wiggle room. I'm good with 20% ROI. So I know that if I am going to be running PPC, I have to factor in the returns like you talked about. All these little things, storage fees, all of that plays a role in that. So I'm buying stuff at a 50% or higher ROI because I have to have that wiggle room for those extra fees or drop down to my price if I have competition on a listing. It's just something that a lot of people just overlook.
So tell me, Chaz, are you guys like doing a lot of PPC for arbitrage, online arbitrage, or retail arbitrage?
Yeah, we usually run a we'll do a 5 cent click campaign for a max budget of $20 per day. And that just is across the board. So we do that on every single product. Doesn't matter if it's wholesale, online arbitrage, retail arbitrage, wholesale products with specific SKUs. That's where we're starting to go in and target keywords with manual campaigns. But for the most part, we just run automatic 5 cent click. And if you guys don't know what I'm referring to on the channel, I actually did a video on how to do that. So go into our Amazon for Beginners series and click on that video and you'll see it pop up.
And like, why is it 5 cents? Because you want to make money in any case, basically, is it?
Yep. Even if it's a one-off product, if I've got 5 or 10 units of it, we just toss it just to get a little bit of a competitive edge because you haven't done a lot of arbitrage, it sounds like, but with arbitrage, you've got a lot of competition. So any little extra percentage we can get in front of those customers, the better.
We have a lot of arbitrage customers. I just don't have any experience myself.
Okay.
But I guess my question was like, why is it not 15 cents or 20 cents?
It could be. I've messed around with, I think the highest I've done was 25 cents. And this comes down to kind of what we're talking about is like knowing your numbers. When I was running over 10 cents, it just wasn't making sense on the profit that was actually being made because the amount of sell-through rate for 5 cents versus 15 wasn't enough of a difference for me to want to pay the extra. So we found that 5 to 10 cents is kind of like our wheelhouse that we play with there.
Okay, very cool. And let me tell you something about PPC then. And actually, we were like working on the profitability of PPC campaigns because I had this idea, if we're calculating profit in every possible way and like by every possible dimension, day and product and parent SKU and whatever, and probably it should be possible also to evaluate the profitability of your PPC campaigns and break it down to the keyword level so that you really know how much money you're making in a campaign. But and basically, like, okay, this is probably more for private label sellers. Normally, when I ask like private label sellers, okay, what's your goal with PPC? They say either, okay, I'm launching a product, and at this time, profit doesn't matter. You just want to invest heavily into the launch and support your keyword rankings, so you don't care. You know that you're burning money on PPC. Some of them say like, okay, I want to support my keyword ranking through PPC, and I know I won't be able to make any money on PPC because it's so competitive. So I at least don't want to lose money, right? So the goal is basically to run as many ads as possible as long as you're not losing any money on the ads. And okay, some people try to make profit with PPC. That's possible, but that's becoming more and more competitive. Let's put it this way, or hard and harder. So let's focus a little bit on these use cases, and because especially if you basically on these two. Okay, I think the box is wrong, or rather on the second one, you want to run ads in a way that you don't lose any money, right? If you're like setting a 5 cent bid for every keyword, then probably you're going to be good. You're going to miss some opportunities where you could like pay more for a bid, could have paid more for a bid and still would have been profitable, but you're probably not going to lose money. If you're increasing the price or the bid to like 25 cents, then chances are that you're going to lose money on those campaigns. And basically this is what we try to prevent, or we try to basically tell you as exactly as possible what's your profit per campaign. So let me explain real quick how we do it. First of all, did you guys know what the PPC sales, which you see in the Seller Central, that they include 14 days of sales after an ad click? So a user clicks on an ad or a customer, and if they return like a week later and buy something, then this will be counted as PPC revenue, right? PPC sales. And another interesting thing is the revenue number, which you see in Seller Central, the PPC sales number, includes all products. So if a customer clicked on some product of yours and then ended up buying a different one, for example, a different variant if you're selling different colors, or sometimes some guys are selling bundles, like you're selling different bundles on the same listing. They click on a like 1 unit bundle, or let's say 3 unit bundle, and end up buying a 10 unit bundle. So that all counts as sales. And last but not least, it might be that they buy a totally different product from your assortment, depending on your assortment. If it kind of fits together, this will still count as sales. Now the problem with that is that like you don't really know what products were sold through PPC. So what you see here in Seller Central, it says how much did we spend, and what was the revenue, how much money did we generate with this campaign, but we don't know which products we sold exactly. And normally, like, you would assume, okay, probably it's exactly the product that I was advertising, and sometimes it's true, but sometimes it's not. And Amazon doesn't tell us which products were sold exactly. Well, I mean, we see the sales in the Seller Central, but when we're looking at a transaction, we cannot tell was it a PPC transaction or no. We just can see that when we're like coming from a campaign, how much sales the campaign generated, right? But what we can see is we can ask Amazon through the API for every campaign, like how many units and how much revenue did the campaign generate for the advertised products only, right? So this sales, PPC sales of all products after a click on a campaign, this is what you see in Seller Central. And this one you don't see in the Seller Central, but we can ask it through the API. And we call it the same to all ratio. And sometimes it's 100%. So 100% would mean basically exactly the product that you advertised was selling. And sometimes it's 10%. So this means that your campaign is probably not optimal because people are ending up buying something different, a different product than the one you advertised. So you can optimize the campaign, but another problem with that is what's your profit? Because if you don't know which products you sold, you cannot be sure about the profit. And basically, using this ratio and using some metrics from our profit dashboard, like the average amount of all kinds of fees, in this formula, I won't go into detail too much. We came up with a way to estimate the profit per campaign and per keyword as exactly as possible. And I really do believe that it's not possible to do it more precisely unless Amazon enhances the API and gives us more information. But yeah, basically what you see here is you see a chart, and here you can configure different parameters like the ad spend and the PPC sales and your profit overall. And here on the bottom, you see campaigns and ad groups and even keywords. And for every keyword, like for example, for this one, the Yeti gift box, you can see how much you spent, $130, and clicks and conversions and stuff like this. And you can see your profit. So this keyword costs us, or at least in this selected period, we paid $11 for this keyword. So all after the money that we invested into advertising, and after subtracting cost of goods and so on, we end up with a loss. So it's not a good one. And basically, we even make a recommendation. So here's how you should adjust your bid. We cannot adjust it automatically yet, but this will come based on this profit view. And by the way, here's this same to all ratio, and you can see in our examples, it's pretty low. So a lot of customers end up buying different products than the ones you advertised. And in this case, we kind of factor that into this profit calculation as precisely as we can. Okay, so basically my message here is I believe that most of the sellers do not calculate the profit per campaign if they're doing it at all accurately. So if you're bidding only 5 cents per click, then you're fine for sure. But if you want to be more competitive and go to this edge of profitability or even make money, then go check out our PPC dashboard. All right. So last but not least, I'm going to tell you about some FBA errors. So there are Amazon is sometimes making some errors or losing inventory and damaging.
Not Amazon. Amazon never makes mistakes.
Well, sometimes.
Oh man.
But
they definitely make their fair share.
Actually, pretty often. And the most frequent one is lost and damaged inventory. So this is when they lose or damage something in their warehouse, and normally they're supposed to reimburse the products to you, but sometimes they just don't. I don't know why, but sometimes it doesn't happen. Another reason for losses is returns that never arrived. So remember I told you when a customer initiates a return, then Amazon immediately reimburses the money to the customer, pays the money back to the customer, and then they wait for 45 days until the customer actually sends the product back to Amazon. And if they don't,
oh no, I think Vladi froze up on us. We'll give him a sec. There he is. Do we get him back?
Okay, can you hear me?
There we go. Looks like he froze up there.
Oh, I'm very sorry. Okay, that was my fault. Probably German internet. Okay, so I was talking about returns. So sometimes customers return items and or at least initiate a return and get a refund. Don't send the item back to Amazon. Amazon waits for 45 days and should charge the customer again and give the money back to the seller. But sometimes this doesn't happen. Another source of problems is inbound shipments. So probably you know that sometimes they end up booking less products on their sellable inventory than you send to Amazon. This one you should just now and then check in the seller center. We can't do this with the software yet, but we'll add this as well. And the last one is the FBA fee. Sometimes it's changed or increased without any alert, and that one I talked about already. So let me dive into the first one, lost and damaged inventory. So the way we kind of find it is with the report in SellerBoard. It's called lost and damaged. It will show you the amount of money that we think Amazon owes you for damaged items. And here you can basically download an Excel report and view a template which you can use to open a ticket, a seller support ticket. And here's how the Excel looks like. Basically, it shows you some products. We're analyzing last 18 months always, because this is how Amazon is analyzing the inventory when they're asked to by a seller to check it. So they only look at the last 18 months for this reimbursement tickets. And we basically show how many items were lost and how many were damaged and how many are pending. That's because 2 are lost or damaged within the last 30 days, so they won't reimburse you for that. And then we show how many were found and reimbursed. They can either give you money or give you products. And then there's a column called missing here. And if something is missing, then basically we end up showing a line in this report. And for every single SKU here, you can open a support case and explain them that you basically checked your reports, and I can show you or give you more information on the reports in the Seller Central where which we use to prepare this file. But yeah, basically you can say, okay, you check the reports and there's some inventory missing, and ask them to check. And then they go ahead and check, and sometimes they write you, okay, no, everything's fine, you won't be reimbursed. But more often than no, they actually reimburse you. Sometimes it's not exactly the sum that we estimate here, but depending on how big you are, it might be a couple of hundreds of dollars even per month. But the first time is basically the best. So if you've never done this before, then register for a trial in SellerBoard, and I'll tell you how to get this feature for free and check it, and it's going to be fun. All right, so I think I'm done. You have the affiliate, the link, right, Chas?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can post that over in the chat, and it's also going to be in the description. If you guys are watching the recording, it's in the description below as well.
Okay, so yeah, if you want to, hold on, I need to find my picture. If you guys want to have 2 months free trial, we have 1 month free trial. After that, it's $19. But if you want to use the software for 2 months for free, then follow the link that Chas will post in the description. And if you want to try this money back feature, because normally it's not available in the trial, then just write money back into the chat. We have a little support chat in the bottom right corner, so you can post money back there, and we'll give you this feature for during the trial period, so you can check whether Amazon owes you money for free.
That's awesome. If you guys haven't done that, it legit works. We got $600 back the first time we ever did that.
Nice.
So if you guys have not done if you haven't submitted to get damaged and lost inventory money reimbursed, it does work. Some of you might only get $50, so I'm not going to guarantee you get that much, but our first time was I probably went 2 years without reimbursing anything. I didn't know that was a thing, and then I finally did it, and we got $600 back that first shot.
Yeah.
Very so cool. If you guys, I want to say thanks to Vladi, because he's taken time out of his evening, his late night, to be here with you guys, and they do not need to hook you guys up with 2 months free, since you already got a free month trial. So that's just something he wanted to toss out to the audience. So thanks for doing that. That's great. So I hope you guys took something out of that, because I've made this mistake many times myself as a seller, but I still see so many people are like, oh yeah, I made X amount of dollars profits. Like, well, were you factoring in this, and this? And it's stuff that people don't even think about. So especially in like the case recently I just brought up, where I'm pulling inventory back, which is adding an extra $100 of buy cost back into it when I do sell it again. So it's just little tiny factors like that play a role with it.
Exactly. Very cool. Yeah, guys, thank you. If you have any questions, then feel free to comment this video, and yeah, we'll answer them offline. Or if you have any now, then go ahead and write us. Or if you want to ask me something, then you can use the chat on the SellerBoard.com website, or find me on Facebook. It's Vladi Gordon.
There you go. Are you on do you guys have your own YouTube channel? Do you have Instagram? Or is there any other social medias you want to plug?
We have YouTube, but and actually we're even recording interviews sometimes there. So if you like enter SellerBoard on YouTube, then you should be able to find our channel. But it's not that's super active, I should say. We kind of post some tutorials there, and now and then some content. But yeah, we're more like software guys than I guess the community guys.
yeah, for sure. Nothing wrong with that. So I'll take all of his info, his links, where you can find him, put it in the description below. And honestly, if you guys are not using anything to track your profits, I highly recommend you look into it. You get 2 months free, and it's $19 a month, which most people can afford. But you should, even if it's not this, have something in place, whether you just manually want to use your own Excel sheet, which a lot of people still do. If you want to manually use something, I just highly recommend you do that, because if you want to run a business, you have to know your numbers. So shout out to SellerBoard for actually putting something together that's simple and affordable that gets the job done for you automatically. So again, thanks so much for your time. If you guys have any questions, be sure to hit us up. Let us know. You can message Vladi directly, and he's an open book for you guys. Obviously, he knows his stuff when it comes to profit on your analytics. So he's the guy to talk to.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
Thanks for coming in. Go get some rest now.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
All right. We'll see you guys soon.
Guys.